As I know, I was born on this planet. Some people have speculated otherwise, but that's a question that you have to ask my mother and whoever else was involved in the conception, which may have been more than just my father, who knows. I am an alien, actually, and that's one of the things that we're getting to here. I don't use the word alien most of the time, but I think that there is a greater reality that's going on with this planet, which is the subject of my album, Wander Awakening. Wanderers are essentially souls that did not start out going through the normal mill of reincarnating and reincarnating and reincarnating and gradually working their way up to becoming more and more enlightened to the point where they have awareness of self and where they start to learn, hey, you know, maybe I should love people and not try to manipulate them and screw them. There's a whole group of people here, apparently at least 100 million, if not more, who volunteered to be here. They're from a higher plane of existence. And yet, they have to voluntarily enter into a human body, play the human game, go by these rules. They don't have their usual powers anymore. They can't levitate things. They can't fly. They can't read people's minds very easily. And they don't understand the horror of people that you can't trust, people that would try to manipulate you, people that would actually lie to you, as if lying was even possible, because where they come from, it's all telepathic, and you can't lie. There's no way that you can actually deceive the telepathic system. So these people are here because the Earth can be helped on a strictly frequency level basis. What do I mean by that? Group of people that were involved in transcendental meditation were doing these studies of what happened after they had big meditation gatherings. And this is 7,000 people meditating under one roof for a week. And typically there were smaller groups, and they would study the crime rate around the city where the meditation was taking place. And they found a dramatic decline in how much violent crime and fatalities were going on in that city. It was absolutely statistically impossible that anything else could have done this. It's like at the odds of billions and billions to one against chance. When they had the 7,000 people, when they had a big enough crowd, you find out that the entire planet has a dramatic reduction in the amount of violent crime, the amount of warfare, the amount of human fatalities, to the point that we can actually say that there is a 72% reduction in terrorism around the world. And all of these different things, it's about the equivalent of 3 out of 4 people on their own free will who would have chosen to pick up a gun and fire it at someone decide not to do that because of these 7,000 people meditating in another place. Now that seems very mystical if you are hardened into the perspective that the brain is located in the mind, or that the mind is located in the brain. But if you expand from that and you get into the idea that the mind is actually an energetic field, then what you will see is that we all share an emotional temperature. When the energy from the solar system and from the galaxy cranks up, it does literally affect the temperature of the planet, and it affects the temperature of our emotional climate. So if this room started to get hotter and hotter and hotter and hotter and hotter, what would eventually happen is people would start screaming, they'd start going for the doors, there'd be mass panic and chaos. If the room suddenly cooled down, then everybody would feel much more relaxed, much more peaceful, and suddenly everybody would just calm down, violence would go away. So what I'm saying to you is that there is a level to your emotional state that is dependent upon this temperature that's around you right now. And I'm not talking the temperature of the room, I'm talking a psychic or emotional body temperature, which is based on the consciousness field as the conductive medium that's bringing that emotional state to you. Now, personally, you're going to interpret it as something other than an energetic effect. You're going to try to bias it to your personal experience, and you're going to start getting pissed off at something in your life and blame it on that. What I'm proposing is that when we pursue the Bodhisattva vow, I seek my own enlightenment for the sake of all beings, when we pursue our own inner peace and tranquility, and when we get rid of fear, which is basically what the consciousness medium has spreading through it right now. Consciousness field is the medium that fear infects and spreads through, much like if you drop ink into clear water and it starts going through everything. we can actually tune up the field in such a way that disclosure happens as a fait accompli. It happens as a de facto reality. I'm taking my part to bring that disclosure about. I don't think it's going to come from the government. I think this room tonight, this is disclosure, and the environmental climate that we are creating for the world with our emotional energy, not just the people in this room, but the people who are vibrating with our consciousness. We have way more than 7,000 people that are seeing this live right now because it's streaming over the internet. So right now, as you hear my words, we are changing the world, we are reducing terrorism, we are increasing peace, we are increasing love, and we are living the promise of the disclosure, which really means the liberation and the ascension of the human soul. Thank you.
Thank you, David. I do want to ask if that's an accurate number. Do we have 7,000 people watching the stream?
No, currently we're at 450 approximately.
Okay.
But we were a lot higher earlier.
A lot higher earlier. Okay, how high, do you know?
I should say that earlier we had like a total of people tuning in at one point or another was around 6,000 or 7,000.
Oh, there we go.
Well, there you go. All right.
So we're already doing it.
All right.
We're already doing it.
So wait till tomorrow. They're going to...
The maximum we had at any one time was 1,000 approximately.
At any one time. Okay. All right. It's good to hear. Actually, well, Project Camelot, what do we have? Something like, I mean, I don't believe it, but you said something like 30,000 a day?
Yeah, between 30 and 50.
Between 30 and 50,000 a day. Now there's some people out there, all right? We're together. Okay, we're all uniting in this consciousness. Okay. Rich Dolan, go right ahead.
Great. David described himself as an alien a little while ago. I feel like I'm the alien up here. Because I know that my take on this is a little different than that of every other person who's spoken so far, maybe other than Bill.
You haven't heard from me.
No, I haven't. But I know what you will say, so here we are. And I respect that, by the way.
You've got no idea what I'm going to say.
All right, well, that's good. That's good. We'll just find out about that, Carrie. We'll see.
I love the subtext in this conversation.
I think I do know, actually. Here's what I would want to say, that if we're going to speak productively about disclosure, we have to talk about physical realities in Earth civilization that are here on the ground. And by that I'm talking about corporate realities. I just don't see this conversation moving ahead until we understand the nature of the corporate and financial implications of disclosure. Okay, so for example, once we find out that all of this is real, we're going to be this close to the energy situation, free energy. Well, that's great. In fact, that's better than great. It's fabulous. The problem is going to be that it will require a very major shift, and probably an unpleasant one, in our global financial system. We do have money that we use in this world. And the whole economic structure. Look, for the long term of the human race, it's going to be a very good thing. I just think that we would also do well to look at the immediate consequences of what will happen with the disclosure. So for example, everything that we use, the money that goes into the things that we use, most of that money is energy. It's energy cost, and then transportation costs and all of this. And so once we have free energy, the value of all the goods that we have is going to go, all right, a lot. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. That's a good thing, actually. It's a great thing. The thing, though, is that those individuals who own all the energy, that is the ultra elites at the very top of the financial heap, they, you see, are the ones who obviously don't want disclosure. And they are the ones who own all of the media, and they own all the financial institutions, and they own the universities. And